Listen closely, because the moment you are living through right now is sacred. Even if it feels like a grave, there is always a silence that comes before a man rises, and most people mistake it for the end. They feel the pressure crushing their chest, they hear the quiet voices telling them to stop, and they start believing the lie that this is where their story ends. But I am telling you something the world will never admit. That silence is not your burial. That silence is the forge. Every man who ever became untouchable once stood exactly where you are standing now, shaking, bleeding, doubting, and nearly convinced that the darkness had finally taken over. Almost. That single word is what separates legends from those who are forgotten. You are not exhausted because you are weak. You are exhausted because you have been carrying a version of yourself that was never meant to survive this stage. Let it die. Let the weak parts burn away. Let the illusions fall apart, because what rises from this silence will not be the same man who entered it. Machiavelli understood something both ruthless and beautiful. He knew that fortune rewards the bold, but only after testing them in ways that would destroy ordinary men. And right now, you are being tested, watched closely to see whether you will break like the rest, or stand up with cold eyes and an even colder mind and whisper back, "Not today." Do not give the world the satisfaction of your surrender. Do not hand over your crown just because your hands are shaking. Shaking hands have built empires. Broken men have risen as kings. And the silence you fear so deeply is exactly where your transformation begins tonight. Number 1, the world was never fair. Now open your eyes and see the world as it truly is, not as you were promised it would be. You were raised on illusions. You were told that hard work always pays off, that good people always come out on top, that the universe keeps score and settles every debt in the end. That was the first lie that made you weaker. The world is not a courtroom. It is a battlefield dressed in polite clothing. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago and wrote it down without hesitation, because he understood that pretending the game is fair is exactly how good men lose everything they care about. Look around you. The loudest voices often receive the biggest rewards. The ruthless rise while the righteous sit and complain. The patient predator feeds while the honest man waits for permission that never arrives. This is not cruelty. This is nature wearing a suit. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you stop reopening wounds caused by false expectations. Stop waiting to be chosen. Stop waiting to be noticed. Stop waiting for the universe to knock on your door with an apology and a reward. It will not happen. What will come is another test, another betrayal, another cold morning where no one applauds you. And in that moment, you have two choices. You can cry about how unfair it is, or you can use it, because here is the truth the weak will never understand. An unfair world is the greatest advantage a determined man can have. It means the rules bend for those bold enough to bend them. It means your enemies are sleeping while you sharpen yourself. It means the throne is empty, watching, waiting, wondering if you are finally done, asking for permission to rise. Number 2, pain is your blacksmith. Now we must face pain, because pain is the one teacher you cannot bribe, cannot escape, and cannot outrun. Every man who became untouchable made peace with it long before the world ever made peace with him. You were taught to fear pain, to numb it, to distract yourself from it, to drown it in noise. That is why there are still soft places in you that should have already turned to steel. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your blacksmith. It heats you until you glow. Hen strikes you until you take a form the world cannot break. Every betrayal that tore you open was a hammer strike. Every humiliation that burned your pride was a furnace. Every sleepless night staring at the ceiling, asking why was the slow sharpening of a blade in the dark. You could not see it then. You will see it now. Machiavelli knew that a prince who has suffered is far more dangerous than one who has only inherited power, because suffering teaches what no book ever can. It shows you who is loyal when there is nothing to gain. It shows you which words poison and which ones heal. It teaches you that comfort is a slow killer and discomfort is a ruthless teacher. So stop praying for an easier life. Pray for a stronger spine. Pray for a colder mind. Pray for the kind of strength that does not flinch when everything turns against you. Welcome the hammer. Welcome the fire. Welcome the long, lonely hours when no one understands what you are becoming. Because on the other side of that forge stands a version of you that no insult can wound, no loss can break, and no enemy can ever truly touch again. Number 3. The mask you must wear. Now understand the law that separates the ruled from the rulers. Never let them read you. The face you show the world is not your soul, it is your strategy. Most men reveal everything they feel. Their eyes confess, their mouths complain, their posture begs. They walk into rooms exposing their wounds and then wonder why predators find them so easily. You will not be one of them anymore. From this moment forward, you wear a mask, and that mask is calm. That mask is silent. That mask is a quiet half smile that tells the world nothing at all. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by what they see than by what they feel, because everyone can see, but very few can truly understand. Use that. Let them see only what benefits you. When you are bleeding inside, stand taller. When you are furious, lower your voice. When you are uncertain, slow your words until each one lands with weight. This is not deception. This is control. A king does not announce his wounds. A general does not break in front of his soldiers. A man building an empire does not hand his enemies a map of his weaknesses just because someone asked how he feels. Smile and reveal nothing. Listen and remember everything. Let them mistake your silence for emptiness, and by the time they realize it was power, the battle will already be finished. The unreadable man is the untouchable man. He cannot be manipulated because no one knows which strings to pull. He cannot be caught off guard because no one knows where he truly stands. He moves through the world like cold water, adapting to every shape, owned by none, remembered by all. Number 4, cut the weak voices. Now look around you, because the next law is harsh but necessary. You will never rise while surrounded by people committed to your smallness. Some of them care about you, which makes it harder, but it does not make it less true. There are voices in your life that go silent when you speak about your dreams and grow loud when you speak about your doubts. Mark them. There are people who celebrate your failures louder than your wins, who give advice that sounds like concern but is built like a cage. Mark them too. And then there are the voices inside your own mind, the inherited fears, the borrowed insecurities, the quiet, cruel narrator that has been feeding you stories of failure since childhood. That one is the most dangerous. Machiavelli understood that a prince surrounded by flatterers and cowards is already half defeated, because the air he breathes is poisoned before the war even begins. You are that prince. Your mind is that court, and it is time to clear it. You do not need to announce it. You do not need a dramatic goodbye. The strongest cuts are the quiet ones. Respond less. Share less. Stop explaining yourself to people who were never trying to understand you. Starve the parasites of attention, and they will disappear in search of easier prey. And inside your own mind, every time the weak voice speaks, answer it with action. It says, you cannot. You move anyway. It says, you are finished. You take another step. It says, no one believes in you. You whisper back, I do. And that is the only vote that has ever mattered. Number 5. Fear is a currency. Spend it. Now we speak about fear, because fear is the hidden economy that controls every life on this planet, and almost no one understands how to use it. The weak are owned by their fear. They feel it rise in their chest and obey it like a master. They shrink. They apologize. They pull back. They stay small in places where they were meant to stand tall. The strong do something different. The strong take fear, weigh it in their hand like a coin, and ask one cold question. What can I gain from this? Because fear is not a barrier. Fear is a currency. And every time you spend it instead of saving it, you buy a piece of the man you are becoming. You spend fear when you make the call you have been avoiding for weeks. You spend fear when you step into a room where you feel unqualified and speak anyway. You spend fear when you walk away from a relationship that was quietly destroying your future. You spend fear when you look in the mirror and finally face the truth you have been running from for years. Every transaction makes you richer in the only wealth that matters, which is the quiet certainty that you are no longer controlled by what once scared you. Machiavelli wrote that it is far safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, and most men misunderstand that as cruelty. It is not about cruelty. It is about presence. A man who has conquered his own fear carries a weight that others feel before he even speaks. They sense that he cannot be pushed, cannot be manipulated, cannot be shaken by the games that work on weaker men. That is the fear you want others to feel. Not fear of your anger, but fear of your control. The fear of a man who has already walked through hell and returned stronger. So stop running from what scares you. Hunt it, trap it, spend it. Every fear you face shrinks the part of the world that controls you and expands the part that answers to you. And one day, sooner than you think, you will look back at the things that once froze you and laugh. Not because they were small, but because you finally became bigger than them. Number 6, the long game of kings. Now you must learn the rarest discipline of all, because everything you have built so far will collapse without it. Patience. Not the weak, passive patience of men who are too tired to act, but the cold, calculated patience of a man who knows exactly what he wants and is willing to wait in the dark for years until the moment is right to take it without resistance. This is the patience of kings, and it is the weapon the modern world has almost forgotten how to use. You live in an age obsessed with speed. Everything must happen instantly. Instant success, instant respect, instant revenge, instant transformation. And that is exactly why the men who understand timing still rule quietly from above. Machiavelli watched rulers rise and fall, and he saw a pattern that has not changed in centuries. Those who moved too early were crushed by forces they did not yet understand. Those who moved too late watched their opportunity taken by someone bolder. But those who moved at the exact right moment, those men became history. Timing is not luck. Timing is awareness. It is the discipline to stay still while fools burn their energy on noise, while pretenders announce plans they will never complete, while your enemies reveal their weaknesses, one careless move at a time. You are not behind. You are preparing. You are not failing. You are studying the game while the impatient destroy their own position. Every quiet day you spend sharpening in private is a day your future opponents are wasting in public. Let them celebrate too early. Let them mistake your silence for surrender. The hawk does not explain itself to the field mice. It waits high above, motionless, observing, calculating every detail. And when it finally moves, the strike is over before the prey even understands what happened. Become that hawk. Build in silence, train in silence, plan in silence. Speak only when it serves your purpose. Act only when your action cannot be answered. And understand this deeply because it is the core of the long game. The world does not reward the man who wants it the most. It rewards the man who can wait the longest without losing his hunger. Hunger that survives waiting becomes obsession. Obsession that survives waiting becomes mastery. Mastery that survives waiting becomes inevitability. And inevitability is the closest thing a mortal man will ever come to wearing a crown. So slow your breath. Extend your timeline. Stop measuring your life in weeks and start measuring it in chapters. The kings you admire were not rushing. They were simply unstoppable. Number 7, become the man they cannot touch. Now we reach the center of everything, the doctrine that holds this entire philosophy together, because all the silence, all the patience, and all the pain you have endured were leading to one outcome. You were not built to be liked. You were built to be untouchable. And untouchable is not a feeling, it is a structure. It is something you build yourself, brick by brick, in silence, until the man you become cannot be shaken by the things that once broke you. So understand what untouchable truly means, because the world has diluted the meaning of that word. Untouchable does not mean invincible. It does not mean nothing can hurt you. It does not mean you move through life with a frozen heart and an empty chest. It means something far more dangerous. It means there is no single string anyone can pull to control you. It means your peace is not stored in another person's hands. It means your self-worth is not built on someone else's opinion. Your future is not tied to someone else's approval, and your discipline does not collapse the moment no one is watching. That is the man they cannot touch, and you build him in layers. The first layer is financial. Owe nothing you cannot walk away from. A man in debt is a man on a leash, and the hand holding that leash is always smiling. The second layer is emotional. Stop handing your moods over to people who do not even realize they control them. Take it back. Every time you feel yourself slipping because of a message, a look, a silence, a rumor, pause and ask one question. Whose hand is on my chest right now, and why did I give it to them? Take it back. The third layer is physical. Train your body until it stops being a complaint and becomes a statement. A strong body changes how you enter a room, how you carry stress, how you sleep, how you decide. Weakness in the body becomes weakness in the will faster than most men ever notice. The fourth layer is mental. Read things that challenge your beliefs. Sit alone with your thoughts until the noise fades and the truth surfaces. Learn to enjoy your own presence so deeply that loneliness loses its power over you. The fifth and final layer is spiritual, and that does not necessarily mean religion unless you choose it. It means purpose. A man with a reason can survive almost anything. Find yours. Etch it into your mind. Return to it on the days when the world is loud and your hope feels quiet. When all 5 layers are in place, something shifts. People begin to feel it before they understand it. They sense the weight around you. They lower their voices when you enter. They stop testing you because their tests no longer land. Enemies begin to disappear quietly, not because they forgave you, but because challenging you is no longer worth it. This is the untouchable man. Not a fortress with no doors, but a kingdom with no weak walls. Not a man who feels nothing, but a man who is no longer controlled by what he feels. Build him slowly, build him relentlessly, build him in the dark when no one is watching, and one morning, sooner than you expect, you will look into the mirror and see someone who feels unfamiliar, and you will know without doubt that the transformation is real. Number 8. Rise when they expect your funeral. Now we come to the moment where everything you have suffered begins to return its value, and I need you to listen with the part of you that has been hurting the longest, because this part was written for that exact wound. There will come a time, and for some of you, it has already arrived, when the people who counted you out are gathering quietly, preparing what they believe will be your ending. They have watched you fall. They have watched you grow silent. They have watched the light in your life dim piece by piece, and they have whispered to one another that you are finally finished. They are wrong. They have always been wrong. And the most beautiful, terrifying Machiavellian truth about life is this. The world expects your funeral right before it witnesses your coronation. Because collapse and rebirth look almost identical from a distance. What appears to be a man dying is often a man shedding his old skin. What appears to be a man drowning is often a man discovering how deep his lungs truly are. What appears to be the end of your story is usually the exact moment the real story begins, the one that will still be remembered long after the laughter of your doubters has turned to silence. So when you rise, do not rise loudly. Do not announce it. Do not post it. Do not waste your breath explaining yourself to people who did not believe in you when belief cost them nothing. Rise quietly. Rise strategically. Rise with the cold patience of a man who has already forgiven the world for underestimating him, because their doubt became the camouflage that allowed him to build in peace. Let your success be the sentence. Let your discipline be the speech. Let your transformed life become the only argument you ever need to make, and watch how quickly the room rearranges itself around the man you have become. Machiavelli understood something about revenge that most men never learn, and it is this. The lowest form of revenge is anger. The highest form of revenge is becoming so undeniable that the people who hurt you must live with the knowledge that they stood at the beginning of your story and chose the wrong side of it. That is a wound that never fully closes. That is a punishment no court could ever give them, and you do not need to lift a finger to deliver it. You only need to keep building, keep training, keep rising, and keep refusing to die in the grave they tried to bury you in with their words. And here is the part most men fail to understand. So carve it into your chest. When you rise, do not become them. Do not waste your new strength chasing old enemies. Do not spend your hard-earned crown trying to prove something to people whose opinions stopped mattering the moment you outgrew them. The truly untouchable man rises, then turns his back on the battlefield because his eyes are already fixed on the next mountain. Petty revenge is the language of small men with small victories. Strategic indifference is the language of kings. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them live with the knowledge that you no longer even remember their names. That silence from you will haunt them more deeply than any insult ever could. So rise. Rise on the morning they expected your collapse. Rise in the season they believed was your ending. Rise so calmly, so completely, so undeniably that even your own reflection has to pause for a moment and recognize the man staring back. And when you finally stand at the height you were always meant to reach, do not look down on the people who doubted you with hatred. Look at them with something far more devastating. Look at them with peace, because peace from a man they tried to destroy is the loudest victory the human spirit has ever created. And it is the one trophy that no enemy, no betrayal, no failure, and no funeral they planned for you will ever be able to take away. Number 9, the oath of the untouchable. Now we have reached the final door, and before you walk through it, you need to understand that everything spoken in this monologue was not entertainment. It was preparation. Preparation for the man you have been avoiding becoming for far too long. So stand up inside yourself, even if your body cannot move, and take this oath with me. Because an oath spoken in the dark by a serious man is more powerful than 1,000 promises shouted in daylight by someone weak. From this night forward, you will not give up. Not when the bills become heavier than the paycheck. Not when the people you sacrificed for forget your name. Not when your own reflection begins to feel unfamiliar. Not when the silence in your room becomes so loud it feels alive. You will not give up, because giving up was never written into the design of the man you truly are. It was only written into the design of the man you were taught to pretend to be. From this night forward, you will guard your mind like a fortress, your time like gold, and your energy like the final drop of water in a desert. You will stop explaining yourself to people who only listen so they can find new ways to wound you. You will stop apologizing for ambition that makes comfortable people nervous. You will stop dimming the fire inside you just so others can stand closer without feeling its heat. You will move slower, speak less, observe more, and strike only when your strike cannot be answered. You will treat your discipline as sacred, your word as iron, your silence as a weapon, and your patience as the blade you sharpen in the dark. You will become the man your younger self prayed for on the nights when nobody knew he was crying. And when the world tests you again, and it will, because the world tests every man who dares to rise, you will not flinch. You will not beg. You will not bargain. You will simply remember this voice, this night, this oath, and you will keep walking forward like a man who has already seen the ending of his own story and knows that no temporary storm has the power to rewrite it. Machiavelli left behind a quiet warning across 500 years, and it is this: fortune is a woman, and she favors the bold, but only the bold who refuse to leave the field. So do not leave the field. Do not lie down. Do not give the world the satisfaction of watching another talented man fade away with his greatness still trapped inside him. You were not designed for surrender. You were built for the long, cold, beautiful war of becoming. Now I want you to do something for the man you are becoming, because words spoken out loud carve deeper than words that stay in your head. In the comments below this video, I want you to leave one phrase. Not a quote you copied, not something you saw somewhere else. A phrase that belongs to you, a phrase that strengthens you, a phrase you can return to on the days when the darkness gets loud and your belief gets quiet. Make it sharp, make it personal, make it the war cry of the untouchable man you are building. Write it down so the universe hears it, so other warriors reading it tonight can draw strength from it, and so your future self can come back one day and remember the exact moment you decided you were done losing. That phrase is your signature on this oath. Do not leave without writing it. And if anything in this monologue moved something inside you, if even one line opened a door you have kept locked for years, then do not let this be the last time we meet like this. Tap the like button, because every like pushes this message into the feed of another man sitting exactly where you were when you press play tonight. Another man on the edge, another man one thought away from quitting. Another brother who needs to hear that giving up is not an option. Subscribe to this channel, because the work we are doing here is long, and the war you are preparing for will not be won in a single video. And turn on the notification bell, because when the next message arrives, you do not want to miss the moment it reaches you. The untouchable man does not walk this path alone. He walks it with other quiet, focused, disciplined men who chose the same oath on the same kind of night. Welcome to that brotherhood. Welcome to the long game. Welcome to the version of your life where giving up is no longer a language you speak. Now go stand up, wash your face, straighten your posture, and say it to yourself one more time, slowly, like a verdict the universe cannot overturn. Don't you dare give up. Don't you dare give up. Don't you dare give up. Because the world is about to meet a man it was never prepared for, and that man has been inside you all along.